Today, Bitcoin continues to test $100,000 going into the weekend. And Bitwise CEO Hunter Horsley reacts to the crypto market rally. Crypto markets mostly in the green this morning. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin climbed nearly 2% to $99,000. Earlier, the token was less than $500 away from hitting $100,000. Ether dipped less than 1% and was trading at $3,200, and Ripple's XRP spiked 32% as investors anticipated a friendlier regulatory environment for digital assets next year. XRP was one of the biggest gainers yesterday in a broad altcoin rally fueled by news that the SEC Chair Gary Gensler will step down on Inauguration Day. Gensler, of course, has become something of a villain in crypto, which has been held back by his regulation by enforcement approach to the industry. For the week, Bitcoin gained more than 8.5% and Ether more than 7.5%. XRP surged 67%. The S&P 500, by contrast, was up 1.5%. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Shares of the Bitcoin proxy MicroStrategy were down 16% yesterday at closing. The same day, Citron Research revealed a short position on the company, saying that while it remains bullish on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy's volume has completely detached from the flagship cryptocurrency's fundamentals. The firm's executive chair, Michael Saylor, joined Squawk Box this morning to address the short.
I think the thesis of the shorts is if the premium in the equity disappears, we can't make money. What they miss is that when we actually borrow money at 6% and we invest it in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up 30%, and by the way, Bitcoin's going up 60%, we're getting a 90% BTC spread, but it would be 80% BTC spread, which means the $3 billion fixed income raise in preferreds or bonds generates the same $125 a share and $30 billion over 10 years.
Now, as of noon Eastern, MicroStrategy made up some of its losses and was up more than 9%. Year to date, the company has surged 590%, far outperforming Bitcoin, which is up around 130% through that same period. Next, Bitwise has entered the race to list a spot Solana ETF. The crypto asset manager filed an S-1 with the SEC yesterday, following other asset managers that took that initiative earlier this year, including VanEck and Canary Capital. Solana was flat as of noon Eastern, trading at less than 0.1%. All right, sticking with Bitwise for our main story, I spoke with its CEO, Hunter Horsley, to get his take on the crypto rally and if there could be a correction coming. All right, Hunter, thank you so much for joining me today. Let me just get your general reaction to start on this rally that we've seen since Election Day.
It's extraordinary. I think that this year we will look back on as the end of a prior chapter for the space, which has been around for almost 16 years now and is familiar to people, but has sort of been over in the distance. And I think 2024 is the year that, I like to think of it as Bitcoin IPOing and entering the mainstream. And I think the election has also encouraged people around the constructive regulatory outlook on the space. And I think this rally is expressing that optimism about the story ahead and the mainstream nature of that story. So I think it's just getting going, and I think it's the start of a new chapter.
Talk to me about $100,000 as a benchmark or as like a psychological level. What sort of happens next year? Obviously, the outlook is very, very bullish. There's a ton to look forward to in 2025. But what happens, if or when we get that 100K? Where do we go from there in the short term?
Much higher is my outlook. Our CIO Matt Haugen has specific analysis on price targets. I think as a firm, we think that Bitcoin can work its way towards achieving $1 million a coin, but that'll take some time. I think in the immediate term, what we see from clients, so we serve over 4,000 U.S. wealth management firms, family offices, multifamily offices. We serve 19 banks and broker-dealers. We serve a very broad cross-section of investors. And I think the moment that we witness in conversations right now is exemplified by an email that we got last week from an advisor. The subject line just read, "It's time." And the content of the email was, "I want to build a 1% allocation to Bitcoin." And so I think what 100,000 is going to represent to a lot of investors is Bitcoin has arrived and it's now time to engage. And while for some people who I think have been in the space for a long time, and Bitwise has been around for 7 years, it may feel like, how could this be the beginning of the journey? But I do think for the next chapter and the mainstream chapter, 100,000 will represent Bitcoin has arrived, it's valid, it's available, and it's time to participate. And I think as a result of that and the supply-demand dynamics, Bitcoin will be headed much higher.
Do you see a correction coming? We had Mike Novogratz from Galaxy on our air saying that that might be possible. Obviously, corrections are normal, especially when you hit a big level like 100K, and it has happened with Bitcoin's previous records where you look at what happened earlier this year in March. We hit it and then kind of pulled back for a while there. Do you see a similar thing playing out possibly?
I think the safest bet in crypto is volatility. And so, yes, I think it will not be a smooth one directional line moving at the, sort of the same rate every day. I do think that there will be big moves up and retracements. But of course, for the investor who's taking a longer term outlook, I think that will sum up to higher levels. So yes, I think there will be volatility. I think there will be ups and downs day to day, but I think the trend line is that the world is valuing Bitcoin more and more highly, as well as other crypto assets.
Let me turn this around to you, my representative right now for the asset management industry. What you called it sort of the year of Bitcoin IPOing. You guys have had a very big role in that. So we're almost at the end of the year. So in hindsight, how did it go? And what is the outlook for crypto asset managers into 2025?
Yeah, it's been an extraordinary for Bitcoin and crypto. It's been an extraordinary year for our clients, and it's also been an extraordinary year for Bitwise. Today, Bitwise manages more in crypto assets than almost any firm in the world. We have more than 11 billion in client assets, which has 10x'd over the course of this year. We're managing one of the largest Bitcoin ETFs in the US, the largest Bitcoin ETP in Europe, the largest crypto index fund, a leading multi-strategy solution, separately managed accounts. And I think, moreover, what it represents is that in this moment, a lot of investors are saying, we want to participate. We want a partner who's been focused on the space for 7 years like Bitwise has, and who can help us have the flexibility to access the parts of the opportunity set that we want to come into. So it's been a very exciting year in that we're seeing clients finding what we do very useful. And also, we're not an equity or fixed income manager that's also interested in crypto. We are a specialist alternative manager for this asset class. And I would say it's also exciting to us as stewards who are hoping to foster the development of this asset class to see clients entrusting us as their partner in the space, because that empowers us to do more to cultivate the space. For instance, with our Bitcoin ETF, we donate 10% of gross profits to open source Bitcoin developers who maintain the open source software. So, I think all of us here at Bitwise, it's 95 people across San Francisco, New York, and London, are very excited about what we're seeing from clients this year. And it really has been a remarkable year for the space, for clients, and for Bitwise.
I do want to double click on your role as a specialist. I have been talking with you guys for years, and you've been talking about crypto for years. And I'm wondering how you see your standing as an issuer of a Bitcoin ETF alongside giants like BlackRock or Fidelity, especially because when we talk about institutional interest and the demand for ETFs, we really kind of talk about that as a large umbrella, but you are very specialist. So how do you stand against the BlackRock and the ETF of the space? The BlackRock and the Fidelity of the space. And as we go into a very crypto forward 2025 in the US, how's that going to benefit you guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's never felt more productive to me. For the longest time, The challenge for many investors is comfort with the asset class. And I think the amazing place that we're at in 2024 is you have the largest institutional asset manager in the world by far in BlackRock endorsing the space. You have Fidelity, an incredibly large traditional institutional asset manager. And I think like many alternative asset classes, there's a barbell that makes sense to investors. Some want to go with, the firms that are the most trusted names in asset management, and others want to go with an asset class specialist. You could think about in credit, there are solutions from BlackRock, and there are also solutions from Apollo and Ares. In private equity, there are solutions from BlackRock, and there are also solutions from KKR and Carlyle and TPG. And so I think the feedback we've gotten from a lot of our clients is they see both ends of that barbell as compelling, and we're grateful when an investor wants to work with a specialist that many of them are choosing Bitwise. I think having access to both options enables more and more investors to participate and find the solution that's best for them. And I'm incredibly optimistic about the role that Bitwise can play and the role that BlackRock will continue to play. I think it's never been more productive for the space to have these options available to investors who want to participate.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We'll be back again on Monday, and we'll see you then.